Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sister. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, fine, very good. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Niqabi Diaries. Sister, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
My name is Jillian Gunzel. I'm 25 and I live in the U.S. Currently, I'm not working, but my normal profession is a in-home health aide, specializing with PTSD in veterans.
Right.
I basically take care of the elderly on
Okay,
a
mashallah.
day-to-day basis.
Mashallah.
I love the work. It's been with me since I was a little girl. My Oma or grandma lived with me as a little girl, so I grew up loving the work.
Alhamdulillah. It's a really good job, especially as a Muslim as well. Like, get a lot of reward for doing jobs like that.
Exactly. And
Alhamdulillah.
alhamdulillah.
So inshallah, we'll get more into that later on. So first I will ask you about your journey to the niqab. What made you want to wear it?
I always was just it interested me, but I never thought of it as myself. And then one day, randomly on, I know the exact day. It's like November 2nd or something, 2018. My best friend was in town. She's in the Air Force, and my what Christians call goddaughter was just born, and I decided wanted to wear it, and I wore it that day, and then ever since then I've played with it, and then eventually I was able to completely wear it all the time.
Alhamdulillah. So sister, are you a revert?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how did you come to Islam, and can you explain, just help us to bridge some gaps here? How did you come to Islam, and then obviously from there, then you decided that you was interested in wearing the niqab. How did that come about?
It was a long journey. It took 5 years for me to take Shahada because throughout my life, I've had some very serious and traumatic events happen consistently throughout life. And I was searching at the time, I was like 18, 19, for my faith that would fit me and help me and heal me and give me inner peace. And then I tried Catholicism, Buddhism, Hinduism. I looked everywhere. I never thought of Islam. I never thought of it. But I'd always see sisters randomly in hijab or random pictures of people praying, and I'd get that warm, fuzzy feeling in my heart, and I'd just shove it away. And then finally, I was at the nail shop 6 months before I took Shahada, and there was a magazine with the Quran on the front. And I'm like, okay, this is a sign I need to listen to what God's saying. Because I was searching for a faith because I knew faith was believing in God and God only, and knowing that only healing and good things can only come from Him and serving Him. And then that led me to listening to the signs and knowing God already and putting two and two together, and then practicing for 6 months and then taking Shahada. And then
Subhanallah, mashallah. That's really interesting. So did you have any help when you was coming to Islam, or was it just purely your own kind of research?
just my own research, really.
Mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. Yes.
And what about the community that you live in now? Are there a lot of Muslims?
Relatively, yes. We actually have quite a big one, but not a lot of masjids. There's like 3 cities in my area and 1 masjid.
Mm-hmm.
But I've lived in other states since being Muslim, and the communities are amazing. Amazing. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So did you find it easy wearing the niqab, and if so, why or why not?
I found it very easy for me myself personally, because I keep in my head like I only care what I think about myself and what Allah thinks of me. So even when it comes regards to my family, so it wasn't hard for me. I faced bumps in the road, but it wasn't hard. It's always been easy for me personally.
Alhamdulillah. So have you ever faced any kind of like abuse for wearing it? or has anybody with your family, especially being a revert, has anybody had any kind of issues with you wearing it, or like you found any kind of obstacles from within your family or anything like that?
Not necessarily obstacles, but like I said, bumps. They're bumps to me.
Yeah.
With no one publicly outside of my family, I get looks and stuff and like that. And a few people whispered under their breath, but alhamdulillah, nothing physical or emotional. Within my family, I'm the only Muslim, and I come from a long line of very German people. And then my mom's side is Southern American. So it's like Islam is totally not on their radar. And then they only understand what the media rhetoric puts out, unfortunately. But the difference is my family says these things, but they're willing to hear me out and learn the truth.
Alhamdulillah, that's good. So how long have you been Muslim?
Since February 2018, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah, mashallah.
Yes. Yes, I was 23 and now 25.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So what about traveling? Have you done any kind of traveling wearing the niqab?
Yes.
Like in America or like abroad?
Not abroad. Unfortunately, I've never been outside of America besides Victoria, Canada. But I have traveled within the US, and so with the hijab even. My ID, my driver's license, I am uncovered. My hair is showing because in my state, you can only renew your ID after X amount of years. So anyway, when I show them my ID, they look at me and they're like, oh, I need more info. So because I respect my government and I'm proud of my country, so I respect authority. So I just quick lift up my thing, and they put two papers beside my face so no one else can see my face. And then I put it down, and then I go through it. No harassment, no issues, nothing.
Alhamdulillah, that's great.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, that's really good. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, yes.
Alhamdulillah. So have you had you've traveled on like inland flights and things like that?
Yes, I've been to California, Washington, Connecticut, and Texas.
Alhamdulillah.
Since being Muslim.
Alhamdulillah. Cool. So, and how long exactly have you been wearing the niqab then?
So I started I like to use the word playing with it, like, because it is such a serious choice. I wanted to think it out clearly. So I started playing with it that day in November 2018. And then February of 2019, all this time my mom was very ill, but February 2019, I had to quit my job and move from my hometown, which is Reno, down to Las Vegas, Nevada, because my mom lived with my older brother. And to be blunt, excuse me if it hurts anybody's feelings, my mom was dying, and I was her caretaker. And in that time, I had not yet bought an actual niqab. In that time, I bought my first actual Thai niqab. And then from there on, that whole time I was taking care of her unto her death. And then since then, I've worn it every day whenever I go into public, or if guests come over to my father's house that I live at the moment and such.
Alhamdulillah. So when you have in that situation, like you said, in your father's house and there's guests and things like that, how do they kind of, what kind of reception do you get usually when people see you that you wear the niqab?
Nothing negative. Alhamdulillah. Some like shocked looks, but not in a negative way. But it's mostly people, because my younger brother, I say my younger brother, but he's barely a year younger than me. It's a lot of his friends, and it's a town where everybody knows everybody. So I know the people, so they know my story and my family past and everything type of thing. So they're all understanding and respectful. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So they've seen you growing up and things?
Yes, most of them. I've known probably since kindergarten, some even before. And then, yeah, since school age. Alhamdulillah.
Wow. So would you say that the niqab is a barrier then?
Yes, I thought about this question actually. Yes, it is a barrier, but to me, not a negative one. To me,
Alhamdulillah.
it's a barrier between me and the outside world. Um, in order for me to have, I need that barrier there in order for myself, my personal journey, to get closer to Allah and serve Allah better. Because when I wasn't wearing it, I wasn't fully practicing, or when I try not to wear it, I don't feel comfortable and I don't remember Allah and praise Him as much, saying things like subhanallah and stuff like that. So for me, it's a good barrier, not a bad barrier.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah. That's a really
Alhamdulillah.
nice explanation, mashallah. So do you from your personal experience, do you think that wearing just the hijab, um you was treated differently from when you've been wearing the niqab? Do you see there's any difference from your treatment of being treated
Uh,
from people?
outside the Islamic community as a whole, um, yes, just more stairs, obviously, because to be blunt again, I'm very pasty white, very, very, very pasty. So even in a hijab, they see this white face and blue eyes, and it throws them off because
Mm,
in America, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know anything, or they just believe the negative stuff. So
mm,
it throws them off and stuff. And then with niqab, um, again, just more stares from the public. But within the Islamic community, I've gotten more. I'm gonna use the word reverence. Like people are like, "I'm proud of you" more
alhamdulillah.
often. Alhamdulillah. Yes.
Alhamdulillah. So have you met anybody like in your community? Are you, is it common that people are wearing the niqab in the community that you're in? Do you have any other sisters or close sisters that are wearing the niqab as well? Like, what's your kind of support network, so to speak?
Um, Actually, it stems back from when I was going into Islam and right after. I've made some very close friends from social media, and then I built some social media following myself to help others. And through that, I met one sister that was wearing niqab. She no longer is, and then I've met other sisters as well, um, all over the world, actually, that wear it. Yes,
Alhamdulillah.
alhamdulillah.
So coming
But
back to sorry, carry on.
none in my physical community, unfortunately. When I lived in Connecticut recently, yes, I had a very nice friend. My sheikh's wife actually was the only Niqabi in the area too. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah. So I'm coming back to your profession, that
Mhm.
you're the in-home help aide. Could you expand more on that? Because I'd like to know more, like, how do you do this kind of job, and what does it, like, what inspired you to get into it?
So the job title is caregiver, but the professional title is in-home health aide. We do anything from, depending on the company you work with, of course, do everything from changing the elderly when they are incontinent or bedridden or on hospice. I also specialize in hospice care. Hospice is end of life care. When you need to change their brief or adult diaper, we can shower them again, from anybody who's walking normally to anybody in a wheelchair. So, like, we know how to lift them properly. Um, and feeding their meals, tracking their vitals, type of stuff as well. And it's all in homes, in their personal home. Even if they live in a senior citizen facility or an old folks home, we go directly to them.
Okay. So how does that work? So it's like an agency thing that you do.
Yes, all over the world, they have these caretaker agencies. The company I work for is called Right at Home, and it's actually international company. It's very, very nice company, and there's quite a few agencies that just take care of the elderly specifically in my area and the country and stuff.
So alhamdulillah, how do you find practicing that, like, practicing your religion with doing this type of job? Do you think it makes it a little bit easier, or and what kind of challenges do you think that you faced, especially even wearing the niqab as well? Do you find that it's easy doing this kind of job with the niqab on, or have you worked with the niqab while you've been doing this job so far?
Yes, I've worked this job since I was 19. I uh, I took about 2 years off because I had two jobs at once. I was a pre-K teacher and an elderly caretaker at night. Um, in both places, I wore niqab. In and then I dropped the pre-K teacher job and just focused on the elderly. And it it didn't hinder my ability to wear it or give salah or nothing because the company I work for and many other companies, I get to choose what type of care, the level of care, whether it's just sitting with someone or changing their diaper. I get to choose my own schedule, and I get to choose if I want to only work with females or only work with males type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I go into their homes, and the agency likes you to build a connection with your client or patient. So I ended up just having one or two specific clients that I would routinely see, and they got to know me and were perfectly fine with it. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. It sounds like a really amazing job, actually.
Oh, I just love it, especially in my little town. My last client I had when I was working was severely had dementia, pretty bad. But it turns out they were actually my grandparents on my mom's side's best friends way back in the day.
Okay.
And the lady with dementia didn't speak, and then all of a sudden she spoke up. And when I said my grandma's last name and first name, she remembered her and said her name and described her outright. It was the most beautiful thing. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So it's really rewarding. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So you've never had any issues with elderly and like how you dress or anything like that, or have they asked any questions, been curious?
Uh, uh, some questions, yes, but no. And especially my work, the office, they made sure they were like, we're not going to discriminate. Obviously, we can't. So my work was great. The only I had one incident. It was in a elderly's home, old folks' home, specifically for Alzheimer's and dementia, and the lady was obviously not in her right faculties. And she was like, you're scaring me, you need to go away, you're gonna, excuse my language, blow me up type of thing. But she was just, of course she wasn't malicious or anything,
Yeah,
but that's the only issue I've ever faced.
alhamdulillah. So do you find that what kind of people, like other people, do you work with usually, apart from obviously the elderly, but like other people who do the job that you're doing? Are there other Muslims that you know that do this job, or is it just like, what kind of backgrounds do
Oh
people come from?
yes, in the company I work for, I haven't met one, but I've met other sisters, actually tons of sisters, especially on the East Coast. Specifically, a lot of Muslim sisters here in America do this job because one, it's easy to get hired and find, and you make your own schedule, so you can work around kids or school or whatever, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah. Sounds great. So finally, what I will ask you, what does the niqab mean to you, and what advice would you give to anybody who is thinking about wearing the niqab?
I'll start with the advice. I've thought about that for a while, and for people younger than me or older than me, they need to remember that with every decision you make as an adult or a sound-minded person, you need to be okay with the consequences. So keep that in mind, and don't jump in all the way at first. Put a toe in, and then get lukewarm, and then jump in and fully wear the niqab, meaning play with it, see where you're comfortable with it, and then build a relationship with it so that you fully understand how or the vast rewards and meanings to the niqab and what it can do for you personally and your relationship with Allah.
Alhamdulillah. And what does it mean
Yes.
to you?
It has many different meanings, but the main one is that throughout my journey within Islam, each step within my modesty, I would say, has helped my mental health and healing process in one way or another. So it just means that I've gotten to the step where I can finally be on the path to fully heal, and in order to heal, and then be able to share my story to help other sisters like myself realize like it's okay to go through these things. So the niqab just means like everything to me. It's who I am and who I want to be and who I was, all in one perfect little piece of fabric. Alhamdulillah. Subhanallah.
Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, sister. MashaAllah. It's been really interesting talking to you and listening to your experiences. MashaAllah.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for
It's been
joining us.
wonderful. Of course.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, sister. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Jazakallah khair.